the gun was actually the officer serving them as well. The second case of Ricardo Sims, the 1-year-old was at home with his mom. She was also babysitting a 3-year-old. The 3-year-old got to the gun, killed the 1-year-old accidentally. In both cases, neither one of the fathers were present during home. They were both children were being babysat by someone else. But as you can see, they have very similar details. The only thing that was different was as for the charges. I was fortunate enough to be able to follow both of the cases very closely. I was able to speak with Mrs. Pedro, the wife of Jose Pedro's, at one of the court hearings. Ricardo Sims, I was also able to follow that case very closely and sit on all of the cases, the court hearings. So one thing that I found that was very important with both cases was the language used within the courtroom. Sitting in under Mr. Pedro's case, there was always a sympathetic or empathetic sort of vibe going on within the room. There was always, this is a police officer, we felt sorry for him, he was responsible. You have to look at the fact that this was an accident. While I was sitting in on the court hearings for Ricardo Sims, it was a completely different vibe and feel. He was deemed as irresponsible, neglected of his child, although he was not within the home. The mother was deemed as irresponsible, though she had a different sentence. She didn't have any jail time, she just had probation, but there was different language within the prosecutor. As I sat in on both of those cases, I was also taking theory, senior capstone, and I was wondering why the cases had turned out so different, although they had similar outcomes. So I'm going to use sociological theory, specifically conflict theory and critical race theory, to come up with a couple of reasons or some type of logic as to why this happened. So with that, I analyzed plenty of films, books, articles, and different sociologists as well to find out, to use as research. So through some of my analysis with films and books, films such as 13, which is, I don't know if anyone's seen it, it's on Netflix, and another book, The New Jim Crow, which is written by Michelle Alexander, which she talks about the mass incarceration of the new age. I was able to find out one thing that is very problematic is the language within some of our policies and institutions, going all the way back to our 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment, as a lot of people know, is actually used to abolish slavery. No one can work, every man except being free, except for criminals. It makes it very clear within our Constitution that criminals are deemed as criminals, and they are not, exempt from any punishment for crime, such as free labor. One thing that I found was language that was problematic, because it really doesn't, it says that the criminals are exempt, but in section 2, it doesn't really define what a criminal is within our society. And that is very problematic because we have a constitution that is giving language or structure to open up a bed of injustice, and that really doesn't help, especially when you don't define what a criminal is, who decides a criminal. So for an example, with drug abuse, which is a common crime in Cleveland, is it a crime or a health issue? Depending on the judge, it can be taken a little differently. So my first theory, conflict theory, I use Karl Marx. So if you don't know the theory, it says that our society is always going to have constant issues with constant competition for scarce resources. It deals with wealth, power, who being on top. A lot of people know it with the capitalistic society, the upper class, middle class, and the lower class. The next theory I use is critical race theory, which gets into the specifics to help me understand the two cases and why there were different outcomes for both of them. getting them to vote on policies that often hurt the poor working class and often citizens of color, enforcing the false consciousness, which are patterns where people don't really understand what they're actually voting for, what they're being told, and they don't understand the fact that it's really harming them over helping them. An example of that would be the fact during the Clinton administration, Hillary Clinton capitalizes on the term super predator, which are young black men who have grown up poor without a father. They're often deemed as thoughtless or extremely violent. One example of one of the cases where it was deemed as false consciousness, or again, false consciousness, not open up masses, is where you have the Central Park jogger case, and a lot of the people from the black community were saying themselves, those are people that are violent, we have to focus on black crime, not lock the animals up and things of that nature. But they don't really know that the men were actually being as innocent based on DNA things that came out later, but they didn't know that they weren't aware of things, so they were actually blaming themselves and their own community from what other people had told them. The Bush administration, first Bush, uses Willie Horton for the opium of the masses. In order for him to be elected, he actually was putting out an advertisement that he was tough on crime. He'd be able to save and help America by being tough on crime, but through that, he had an advertisement with an African-American male that was pictured as an animal and being violent and completely criminalized, and it ruined his reputation. So a lot of people saw that as attractive, or the media stream saw that as attractive, and they extremely completely started to wear out one group. But he knew exactly which target group he had to reach, so that was, he had to reach the masses. Another thing that I stumbled across was in 1970, the Nixon administration, which law and order, which is deemed as the war on drugs. Ronald Reagan, he uses his crack and cocaine. We fall below the poverty line and the rich get richer. And Reagan takes the issue of economic inequality and hyper-segregation in cities and capitalizes drugs being the issue instead of those two main issues. So with the information that I just gave you, some people will say, well, it's not really a race-based issue. It could be a policy or an economic issue if it stems back to policy. But my response would be, prison systems are an issue of economics, but it's hard to talk about economics without talking about race, seeing as though our country was founded on an economic system that had to deal with race. Prisons themselves have become one of the largest private corporations impacting U.S. economics. So the CCA, which is a prison company, is completely ran and endorsed by ALEC, which stands for American Legislative Exchange Council, which endorses our law-making process completely. So, as Marx says, within capitalism, the dominant group is known as the bourgeoisie. In this case, the government will exploit the proletariat, which in this case will be the inmates and their families. I put a couple of labels up there to represent some of the companies that are involved. AT&T actually goes back to Ohio Link, which is the phone company that is used within Ohio's prison systems. And AT&T actually is not cheap. Calls, because they say if you're making minimum wage, you have an inmate who is in there, you're working for minimum wage is $8.15, you're working an hour and a half to support a 10-minute phone call, which completely goes to the inmate, you make the hour and a half, you get your 10 minutes, and then that money then goes back into AT&T because you use their call service. So society, we must acknowledge that the history before us is exactly how we got to where we are. As for my study, we must acknowledge that America really hasn't ended race-based issues, but simply redesigned them. So we went from slavery to convict leasing to the old Jim Crow, which made African Americans second-class citizens, and then we're going to the new Jim Crow, which is the mass incarcerations of African American and Latino males. And when you're incarcerated, it simply strips you of all of your rights. You're not able to vote anymore. The gun laws, everything's changed. You're not able to protect yourself sometimes. So I would say correctional institutions aren't just buildings, but to me, they're methods of racial and social